Welcome, everybody, to the final match of today for the Hearthstone Grandmasters kickoff week, day number 2. It is our final match to determine who is getting the last spot in top 4. It's Firebat or bloodyface. And, bloodyface, we're used to seeing him in, top 4 contention constantly. In Firebat, this is a really good opportunity for him to start off the season on a good foot. He's still a very competitive player, and I know that most people look at Firebat for his stream and his content these days and some of the fun, opening videos that he does. But he's still a very competitive player at heart, and he's really navigated some tough corners today and really showed what's really important in some matchups while, ignoring the traditional lines of thinking from, a casual scrub like us. So it's going to be interesting to see how Firebat goes against bloodyface, who has a pretty different lineup than the opponent he just played against. No Hands Gamer had like that Warlock, that defensive Highlander mage. bloodyface has an aggressive rogue and a tempo mage instead.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, for his that Libram Paladin. But again, it seems like the overall strategy that he's been going for and that he's been having success with is to target that druid. And because of that, I think he still has a chance because bloodyface's druid, especially in the last year series, showed some weakness. It's a Malagos druid. And, sometimes that Malagos druid can have some awkward draws, even more so than the survival of the fittest druids. But we shall see. I still feel like bloodyface overall has some of the better decks, but there are weaknesses on both sides.
Yeah, and I think that the weaknesses sometimes are like negligible because weaknesses do exist, but they seem to be a little bit more on display lately. Of course, that could just be recency bias. There's only one way to tell, and that's just play more games of Hearthstone. We're going to go into this series with bloodyface having his warrior banned once again. Bans seem to be pretty similar across the board. No warriors allowed for this series, and so it'll be a rogue druid mage versus a paladin priest and druid. Firebat looking to target that druid, and it looks like bloodyface might be doing the same, although it seemed like he picked up some free wins versus paladin along the way last time.
Yeah, he did. And this aggro rogue now for bloodyface 8-0 across the Swiss portion as well as today in this group stage for the top 8. Again, he's starting off with it. It honestly feels like because of how proficient he is at the deck and how powerful the deck is, that he's just starting each series off 1-0, which is kind of insane. But we'll see if he can do that again here. Again, it's not guaranteed, even though it's felt like it. But we shall see. The deck just seems unstoppable.
Yeah, very much so. Firebat's also going to go to his priest deck, which I think has been pretty solid so far. If you look at the stats, Firebat specifically with his priest deck has been, I think, only lost one time. So it's kind of like what you're talking about. Firebat's paladin stats are so abysmally low that he had to have overcompensated for everything else, and that's true. His druid and his warrior basically, and his priest had basically lost collectively 3 games going into today.
Yeah,
which is very impressive. Yeah. It was just paladin that kept losing.
He would sweep everybody and everything if his paladin deck was like anything else, which is kind of insane to me.
Right. Well, here we go. Game number 1 is upon us, and if that priest record is any indication, looks like paladin, or rather his priest, should be just fine. I am very curious about whether or not we'll see a little bit more people transitioning to an aggressive rogue, because it seemed like rogue has been brought a lot this weekend, and there's so many different archetypes with it, whether it's Burgle, a stealth, like a face aggro rogue, or a Galakrond, like trying to put out more value. And with so many different archetypes kind of represented, it feels like not everyone's correct here. There's got to be some people that are just wrong about their opinions. And I'm curious to see like what ends up converging into the ideas, since there's a lot of rogue experts out there that are constantly refining the deck.
Yep. And I feel like rogue, once it's refined, is going to be one of the stronger decks. It seems like they have so many tools. It's just a matter of how you piece those tools together because you're seeing like secret passage in so many different archetypes. Like, is stealth really the most efficient way to do it? Are secrets really the most efficient way to do it? It's tough. It's tough to say, and I think it's still going to take some time before that happens. It's still going to take the metagame some time to settle down, figure out which decks are strong and which rogue decks are strong against that. But I fully expect rogue to be a more popular choice moving forward.
Yeah, and so I think that, with that rogue deck that's been performing so well, it seems like Bloodyface has been getting those really quick wins. And then if you look at the way Bloodyface has kind of been going about with these other decks, pretty subpar. Druid at 50% win rate, Tempo Mage at 5 and 7. His Warrior's kind of been like even in his win rate as well. So it's really the Rogue that's kind of been carrying Bloodyface a lot with some big wins and early points.
Yeah. I mean, he can have poor performances with his other decks if his Rogue's just performing that well. But I didn't have as much success playing that Rogue deck in my personal experience than Bloodyface has had. He did have like maybe a close call earlier where the game could have been different if he didn't get 2 fireballs from both the Wand Thieves in his deck, for instance, against Language Hacker's Galacron Warlock. So that one's a close call, but that's why those cards are in that deck. That's kind of what it's designed to do. So can't really fault him for just including those cards in his deck as is. But we are going to get into it.
All right, here we go. Find out if Bloodyface's Rogue can go a perfect 9-0 throughout 4 days of gameplay. We're about to find out. Pharaoh Cat is nice to start things off, but I imagine the rest of the cards he's going to probably dump here. Firebat, Murazon is a lot less important right now against Rogue than it used to be because of the lack of High Spear and Togwaggle treasures.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it seems like a really nice 1-2-3 on paper for Priest. Would you bother keeping the Veil Weaver though? Like, is it important when you don't have spells?
Yeah, I think you're more wanting to find like removal because the Rogue has tempo tools. So if you're just playing minions, they're just gonna stick a thing, kill your thing, and keep pushing damage. And yeah, I guess this keeps the smaller minions out of the two.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's Holy Nova. That's a great way to deal with the stealth minions.
Okay. Holy Nova does have a way to get past a lot of them at 1 health. I mean, AoE seems to be really important against this Rogue deck. The Neophyte does end up disrupting some of those spells. It just reduces the abilities of what your opponent can do. But you can also just Dagger here, and you can also Grand Mummy. So some pretty interesting options here. Grand Mummy, of course, builds the board. Neophyte disrupts. Dagger takes it slow, but plays more value-oriented.
Oh yeah, love this. No coin for you, buddy. Not the most impactful thing in the world, because Priest doesn't utilize the coin as well as, some of the other decks in the metagame, like Mage or Rogue, but still just kind of limits Firebat's options for the turn.
I must consider.
Yeah, I think in this position, Firebat just has to play for tempo right back because he has his plays disrupted. And that's kind of what the Neophyte is supposed to do. It's supposed to get Bloodyface onto the board. It's supposed to give him some power. It's 2-mana 3-2, which is much better than a 2-mana 1-2. And next turn he can go for the Wand Thief if he so desires, unless he picks up a combo card. Whoa, Shadow Step.
Ooh.
I feel like that's a big pickup here for Bloodyface.
Yeah. Question is, how is it used? Because he could like Shadow Step the Feral Cat played again this turn and make a 6/6 Ed win. Or he could hold on to it, do something a little different, like with a Grand Mummy, and try and make a bigger play the following turn.
Maybe on the Neophyte, you can overtrade onto the the Disciple of Galakron, and then Shadow Step, replay the Neophyte, and I think go for the Edwin right there, because then Shadow Word Death is still 3 mana, and then you just like back to its pre-buff state.
Yeah.
And then you just lose everything. Maybe instead the play is kind of what we're talking about. The Grand Mummy and the Wand Thief here.
Oh. Okay, Font of Power.
Right. Yeah, I think I like this better as a spread. Oh my gosh. Doesn't have the ability to target only its enemy minions, though. That would just be... That'd be absolutely perfect.
I must consider.
I guess he could use Coin Holy Nova.
Yeah, he could use Coin Holy Nova. Just not sure how much value he puts on the coin in this situation, or alternatively, like how much he wants to keep around a 2/2 in the scenario.
I wonder.
Two big questions.
Yeah, I like this Coin Holy Nova play. It makes the most sense because he needs to disable the aggression out of the rogue before they can start building upon it with a bunch of the stealth package.
Yeah.
Right? Evil Miscreant?
Well, I feel like he did take the Font of Power because, one, if he didn't pick up a 1-mana minion, he could use it to combo with the Evil Miscreant, and 2, even if he does, he has even more cheap fodder to be able to make this big Edwin. Firebat does have to check for it in the form of Shadow or Death, but, you know, you can't spend your life playing around every removal from Priest because you're just literally never going to play a minion.
Don't tell me how to live my life, TJ.
Alright, sorry.
Yeah. So I think Veil Waver with the Renew is actually kind of nice here because it gives Firebat the ability to bump and reduce the power on the board. Also, he still might be able to find a nice cheap spell to play. Oh, it's a spectator bug?
Yeah, it's a spectator bug, I was going to say.
I'm like, did it not do what I thought this card does, which is discover a...
Alright, so got Holy Nova from the Renew, and then Power and Feast from the targeted minion of the Aesthetic Veil Weaver.
Job done.
Ooh, another Shadow Step. I wouldn't go all in here on the Edwin Van Cleave. You're probably going to try and get some value back from this Evil Miscreant and have some lackeys in case the Edwin Van Cleave gets dealt with.
Yeah, and you anticipate it, especially going into 5 mana for the Priest to have that, because they have Time Rep as well now, so they unlock another removal ability. Okay. I definitely like the idea of killing this Aesthetic Veil Weaver, though. So I think I want a Kobold Lackey.
Yeah.
Kobold Lackey. Dagger? You're just not playing Witchy Lackey, which feels bad right now.
I wonder. I must choose soon.
Oh my. This is actually a little awkward with the Faceless Lackey being played, but...
Oh, okay. I like this.
Yeah.
No Edwin Van Cleave because you realize that it's going to be too difficult. If there is a Shadow or Death on the other side, he's going to get potentially blown out by the Aesthetic Veil Weaver and its ability to generate more stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, this Holy Nova number 2 is pretty nutty. It's the downside of it, and like, I mean, Firebat has other AoE as well. He has Breath of the Infinite. So there's just AoE in general is kind of a heartbreaker for bloodyface.
Yeah. Firebat has checks for just everything.
Yeah, Breath of the Infinite plus Powered Feast is also pretty reasonable onto the Disciple of Galakron. Or probably the Shadowy Figure. since it's more stats.
All right, so what's the nuts from Font of Power? Archmage Antonidas? Astromancer Solarian, potentially? None of these. Imprisoned Observer, I guess, gives him some delayed power. I don't know.
It's actually probably Kieran Torcaster, and then you can Witchy Lackey it immediately. Upgrade from 4 to 5.
So
Yeah,
I like that.
That's the most power.
Yeah, otherwise I like just taking the Arcane Amplifier since it's like more immediate.
Power. Limitless.
Yeah.
Okay. So if he plays this... Oh, jeez. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little confused as to why we wouldn't just pick the Kieran Tor Tricaster and then play Witchy Lackey, because it kind of cuts the chase, and now we've played... I guess you've just developed more power on board, right, this way?
Yeah.
So, you can Shadow Step and upgrade to 6. Or you can just let it pass and clear his board. This looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Firebat now also has Flesh Giant.
Job done.
No progress being made. Looks like bloodyface is on track. Oh, hold on. Greyheart Sage.
Yeah, this needs to be the best Greyheart Sage of his life. Well, he could Shadow Step it and go again.
Yeah.
Find Sneaky Delinquent as well.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of that.
Cruel fate awaits you in the ashes. Better be something good.
Okay, we might have ourselves a game.
Okay.
Not really. Fate Weaver and Holy Nova here is pretty devastating.
I wonder.
Because if you shut off the stealth minions, then you shut off their stealth synergies too. So like second Greyheart Sage can't come down really. I guess you can because you still get the death rattle. So you still have another stealth minion to play.
Well, the one thing that Firebat doesn't have going for him is just his ability to generate too many resources. He has Renew to try and maybe find another piece of spot removal, and Time Rip to invoke once again. The biggest thing here is that bloodyface just isn't dealing with the Flesh Giant, so he's just taking a ton of damage.
Right. This is where the hard removal aspect or the sap is really important. Bloodyface picks up an entirely playable hand. Wow.
Okay. It's something.
Sure. Infiltrator Lillian, 2 Spy Mistresses, and the Backstab. Backstab allows you to clear off the Fate Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
Evil lurks in these halls. Home in the shadows. Home in the shadows.
Choose soon.
Firebat has used all of his full board clears.
Yeah, Bloodyface really thinking about where he wants to put the backstab. So he puts it preemptively into the giant because I think that's the way he's going to deal with it. All right, I mean, Rogue's found a way to launch a last-ditch counteroffensive here. Apologies for the lack of spectator feature. Obviously, you'd love AoE of any kind. Oh my god.
Oh!
That's disgusting. That's so powerful.
Yep.
All right, well, it was a good effort, but you can't
that's
really
what it
beat
was gonna take.
Yeah, 2 randomly generated Holy Novas.
Yeah. And does Bloodyface even have anything in his deck? He can find the second Wand Thief and then get Breeze.
Okay.
Make an Edwin. Okay, Secret Passage does give him the chance at finding that, but that just seems like it's stalling the inevitable. He has no ways to gain life. Janus Rob might be fine. There's Want Thief. Looking for like Ray of Frost, Frost Nova. 1 mana off Power of Creation.
I think that's still the best pick here.
Yeah, so now needs Janus Barab into layers of 5
Rushers?
mana taunts. Oh, Dr. Krasinov? Not enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough health.
Yep.
And that's gonna do it.
And
Game 1
Bloodyface
to
is rogue.
Firebat.
First loss.
I mean, there's no such thing as a 100% win rate deck when you start playing large sample sizes. So,
Yeah.
8-1, pretty reasonable. But it has a chance to win again, and that priest looks pretty powerful against most of what Bloodyface has, and so I anticipate that to be the case. Now we have Rogue that still can go up against Paladin or the Druid.
Against the Paladin, I feel like he definitely has a good shot. He has so much good tempo. He can move everything. He showed it exactly why in the first series that they played against each other. Firebat could do nothing. It's not even like he had a terrible start. He had first day of school. He had 1-drops. It's just that deck just does it well. Same with the Temple Mage, honestly. We'll see what Firebat's going to go with next. Maybe he wants to just save the Leap from Paladin for last, try and get a quick win here with his Druid, and just move on. But the Temple Mage has had middling performances across nearly every region, honestly. It just seems like an average deck right now. Not a super high power level, but a deck that, because of some of its swing turns, can win against just about everything. I do like Bloodyface's version of it. He doesn't run... he does run, sorry, the Conjurer's Calling, which I see a lot of the decks don't run Conjurer's Calling, and then they have no way to capitalize on their cheap mana giants. They're just kind of playing them as 8/8s or relying on random generation for it. Firebrand, I think, is also a really good one. So he's got all the tools necessary. And 1 Devolving Missiles, I think, is important to have in your deck as well, just to be able to combat. It seems like Druid specifically, just because they buff up their minions so much. It's a great way to kind of negate that. But there's so many decks in the metagame right now where Devolving Missiles can completely negate a lot of their power turns. So I do like the way Bloodyface has constructed this Temple Mage deck, but still, again, average deck. And I wonder what Firebat's going to go with here in game number 2.
Yeah, and I think that the Mage is certainly going to offer some interesting stuff every single game at every single juncture. So it's really difficult to play around Mage right now. But like at the same time, you kind of can anticipate them freezing the board, drawing cards, just kind of doing all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I kind of anticipate the Mage to find a way to build up an offensive there, and that's kind of how that Mage deck really works. So as we go into game number 2, Firebat's going to go to his Druid. And Mage versus Druid has kind of been contested in our win rates here, but overall, Mage is still clocking just north of 50% win rate. Its win rate is dragged down overall by the performance of Turtle Mage, and Highlander Mage hasn't been performing particularly well either.
Yeah, not many players have been brought Highlander Mage. Most players opting for that Temple Mage. But we'll see how that shakes out in future weeks. That's a... Do you keep Kael'thas?
Against Mage? It's a good question, actually. So, against Mage, the highest win rate cards are Overgrowth, which makes sense, Guardian Animals, which also makes sense, and Kael'thas Sunstrider. So, according to Mulligan data, yes, that is what you're supposed to be leaning towards. Let's go ahead and filter a little more aggressively and try to say, like, only Legend. That changes a little bit more. So, Guardian Animals and Overgrowth are still not 1 and 2, but Kael'thas does drop in win rate a little bit more at higher legend, but at higher legend they also keep it more often.
Yeah, because they are usually better at playing with it. The big thing is, even though I feel like Kael'thas is a pretty high win rate card when kept in the mulligan, Overgrowth and Guardian Animals are so much better to have in the opening hand than Kael'thas. So, like, the argument is, well, do you keep a generally high win rate card, or do you throw it away in order to find the very high win rate cards? That's the argument, I feel.
Well, I think that a lot of this data is like part of the skill of like using these sites, as Firebat has to deal with his lab partner. I guess he's just gonna bump it immediately. Is understanding like what you're supposed to do with that data. You can't just take it at face value. And it looks like that data was largely driven by being on the coin. If you're on the coin, you're supposed to keep Kael'thas, but when you're going first and you don't have access to that coin for a spell to count towards the turn, Kael'thas gets significantly worse. He actually becomes one of the worst cards you can keep. Interestingly enough.
Oh, I thought it was relatively the same, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I presume that it's like, you know, around that same kind of tier where like it's in the middle of the pack, it's totally fine. It's just that he performs noticeably worse when you're going first versus going second.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. At any rate, Firebat choosing to Bog Beam the Astromancer Solarian. Looks like bloodyface is just kind of playing a curve deck at this point, like 1 mana 1/3, 2 mana 3/2, 3 mana 3/4. And just saying, like, if you let me, I'm going to get a lot of that early poke damage and then start to actually threaten you in the mid stage of the game. This is what Mage used to do.
Yep. And get rid of that lab partner. Inconspicuously good, those cheap spell damage minions are, because they help activate Gram Session. They can snowball out of control, especially when you consider the Raz. That can, you know, start dealing good amounts of damage to you as the game progresses if you leave spell damage minions up on the board. Also, intervening out Twilight Runner with a non-activated Firebrand on board is just suicide.
True mastery takes dedication.
No, that was really his only option. But yeah, bloodyface, playing tempo. Ooh, Lightning
Okay.
Bloom. Guardian Animals gets to come out here.
Yeah, that's big. Guardian Animals is huge. Now what ends up coming out? Wow.
The juice.
It's the good stuff. And just like that, looks like bloodyface's momentum has been stopped. And Druid is back on the menu. I mean, I personally feel like Guardian Druid is so good against the Tempo Mage for this very reason. They can't really answer the mid-range minions that drop out with Guardian Animals.
Yep.
It feels like your win rate is directly tied with how often you draw Guardian Animals in general, but it seems like, especially in this matchup, Mage is like basically saying like, okay, if I can't deal with this, I have to like have already Chenbala and generate a bunch of 5/5 elementals.
Well, Wand Thief needs to find something cheap here. This Mana Cyclone's going to be... Didn't find anything for one.
Combustion is kind of interesting because it actually, I think, clears the board. Oh no! He doesn't have enough. He doesn't have spell damage from the lab partner.
No. And he used the Sorcerer's Apprentice just to like deal some damage. I think with this committal, he might need to
Yeah, you Mana Cyclone.
Mana Cyclone
right?
here.
Yeah, I think so. Just go ahead and freeze those 2 other minions and play Mana Cyclone, then use Combustion the following turn to kind of get AoE damage. I like it. Oh, what is this? Pretty garbage generations. Not that like it was super good anyways, but...
Well, Deep Freeze can maybe be good, but I feel like with how expensive it is, he can't even play it next turn. He's just going to fall too far behind on board. Yeah, Firebat just gonna get this next Twilight Runner out here. As far as his guardian animals goes, he has 2 teacher's pets left, so it actually still is fully active. Wait.
Lab Partner Combustion or Astromancer Solarian Combustion
I will
actually
crush
helps
your
clear the board.
What did he not play around? No, not combustion positioning.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually so devastating for Firebat. But he's got another guardian animals, right? He's all right. He is chillin'. Oh. Oh my gosh. Firebat's gonna win this game. And then he's gonna try to get a win with Paladin, TJ, and I'm so scared for that future.
I believe in it. I believe in it, Dan. He's gonna make it work.
But I will gladly stand corrected if / when it does. Gotta be survival fittest now.
Yep. He's gonna have a little bit of an awkward turn next turn, but Nature Studies might be able to help him out with that. Because he's going on 9 mana, he's overloaded for 2. I guess he could still find like overflow. But yeah, this is bloodyface's last ditch effort here, and this is just gonna kind of stall. I'm just playing that. Seems good to me. Going into 10 mana with Overgrowth, which is a guaranteed activation. Nature Studies, which can sometimes help you out with the activation. Evolving Missiles.
Woo! 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 All right.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Still not super impressive, but he can clear the board.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think we were really picky at this point.
To do.
Take what you can get. Hope his hand's dead.
I mean, Firebat's hand is kind of dead.
It is dead,
His minions
but
die.
so is Bloodyface's, honestly. For a deck that relies so
Evocation.
heavily on combinations. Yeah, he could draw Evocation.
Evocation.
Nope. Another
Your
combustion.
entity is actually
Oh,
kinda
yeah.
nutty too.
Wait. Okay, yeah,
Hold
it is.
on.
The only minion he has left is Ysera Unleashed. Oh, and the second Anubis Defender. All right. Oh, and no, he played the Speaker Gidra, right? Earlier on.
Well, either way, this
Still a
Anubis
lot better.
Defender could trigger it. I think if I'm Firebat, I'd also be tempted just to remove some of this board. Oh, wow, playing Anubis Defender might actually be kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
Drawing, no Spellbender, Overflow. Yeah, alright, that's the stuff. Well, never mind, actually. He drew Ysera and Ironbark, and I was like, alright, cool.
Waits for no one.
He is giving Bloodyface a 7/9, but next turn then he gets to stick Ysera Unleashed with that Iron Bark, like you were saying. So I think he's okay with this alternative.
Alright! Oh boy, that's a lot of spells.
All right,
2
I see
ice
Primordial
barriers.
Studies.
Wait, 3 ice barriers. Oh my god, I found devolving missiles.
Evolving Missiles, Primordial Studies, Counterspell is a big one.
Oh no! Firebat deflated. Invocation activated. Oh wow, Bloodyface is just thinking about straight up deep freeze, just more tempo on the board.
Yeah. So let's count damage. He's got 9, 16 this turn. I mean, he's got lethal over 2 turns unless Firebat defends himself in some form.
I like the secrets for just massive disruption, but at the same time, Firebat might be in a tight spot where he doesn't even get to really choose whether or not that matters. Evasive Feyway, Deathwing? It'll be a last card guaranteed? I like it.
How?
My dream is your nightmare.
Wait.
How?
Okay, this is a lot of stats. 18. Firebat just gained 18 life.
Yeah, well, Firebat's
Oh wait, I forgot the counterspell. You're right.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That what the heck happened, man?
That's
like Firebat had like a
ridiculous.
full hand of cards, he had huge minions, somehow Bloodyface with an empty hand finds a way to win. See, that deep freeze came in clutch.
Mage is just like ridiculous sometimes. I just don't understand
Yeah.
this deck in this class anymore. Just making it up. You become a pants gamer, TJ. You just fly by the seat of your pants.
That was sick. That was really sick.
Well, series is tied now. Mage and Rogue, or sorry, Druid and Rogue versus Druid and Paladin.
Yep. I fully expected that one to go to Firebat's Druid, and like you said, essentially coming down to that Libra Paladin. But now Bloodyface just made it that much tougher. Or Firebat to piece together a win, because now he has less chances with that Libra Paladin. Bloodyface is going to turn to Malagos Druid here.
Okay. Malagos Druid is a risky pick now that the priest is already through. Priest with no Mind Render Elucia. The head-to-head, Guardian Druid should have the Survival Druid has the head-to-head edge over the Malagos Druid. But as we mentioned before, at higher legend, you see that the win rates do consolidate a lot closer. Instead of being an overwhelming favorite, it's slight favorite.
Must be preserved.
Alrighty.
Okay, so early game mulligans pretty quick, just getting that ramp. Bloodyface once again with Breath of Dreams, but no dragon in hand. Firebat with a bunch of front-loaded mana gain. One time, Breath of Dreams with the dragons.
Nope.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa,
Wee.
Dan. Daniel.
Oh my gosh.
What is happening?
Druid
Firebat
is
wants to get this one over with quick.
Oh.
Double Twilight Runner.
Whoa.
Upasat. Oh, jeez.
I mean, we saw this earlier in Europe,
Yeah.
and the game ended super quickly. I mean, that looks like game to me. Bloodyface is on a 2-turn clock. Well, 3, I guess, because he needs to deal a little bit more than 13 a turn.
Yikes.
Okay. What's the way he can pull himself out of here? I guess Dreamwake Guardians might actually help, because it might just put stuff slightly in the way and you can use Bog Beam and Swipe to finish clearing things off. You can also save a spell to play with Gidra next turn.
Time waits for no one.
This all seems incredibly hopeful. I think the problem doesn't even lie in the fact that the minions are there. It's the fact that these minions are going to draw cards. And so once the dust settles, Firebat's going to have likely ramp and more stuff to go into. Yeah, finds the overgrowth for turn 4.
Oh my gosh.
Forget about the clock. This is more so about if even bloodyface can deal with this board, what does the landscape of the game look like after that?
Right. I think it's a swipe here. Then Firebat just has the overgrowth play like you're talking about, and everything is just like he just starts so far ahead. It's turn 4, and he's going to be crossing the halfway point of how many cards he's drawn from this deck.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. 2 survivals in his hand. Is he contemplating if he wants to innervate out a minion instead? So that way he
That's
can
a
push for
good
lethal?
point, actually. Yeah.
I wonder.
That actually might be better.
Right. He's just playing tempo at that point. Like,
Yeah.
forget, like, the ramp. Ramp is just to help you play more minions.
Yeah.
And also, next turn he would be ramping to 7, and, like, what does he play? Guardian Animals after he's already drawn all of his other ones?
Yeah. I think he's looking to finish this game out right now.
Yes. And so, Speaker Gidra does not save him. He has to swipe.
Just play another teacher's pet.
Yeah. Another teacher's pet. Just keep the pressure.
Yep. And then can look for lethal the following turn with nature studies. That's if things get dealt with, but both swipes are gone. Like, how does bloodyface even deal with this? He would have to have like innervate guardian animals, but doesn't find anything. He put a teacher's pet in the way, but Firebat, I don't know how likely it is, but can just find a way to push through with the nature studies. Actually, honestly, he could just Iron Bark and then push through with the hero
And
power.
that's
Bloodyface
it.
just going to concede, yeah.
Super quick game. Firebat up 2-1, and here's the most important part. Paladin's still on the table with Druid remaining on Bloodyface's side. So that Malagos Druid wasn't just a important win against the Druid because you just want that point, but because Firebat has his best matchup yet still left in this series. Legion Paladin, I mean, you think it dunks the Guardian Druid. It really dunks Malagos Druid, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a very lopsided matchup, and if Bloodyface wants to kind of like drag this out, he'll try and take the win first with the Rogue, but I imagine he's just going to queue up the Druid and hope that he can find a way to push through.
All right, Firebat, Libram Paladin. Can he be yet another player that is entering the top 4 despite Paladin? Some way, somehow, Firebat is at the doorstep. It would almost be a little bit too fitting for Libram Paladin to close it out. Or rather, fail to close it out, even if against its best matchup. We shall see.
We shall see. Oh, okay. So Bloodyface did get checked last time, but I think that Firebat, the last time he played, he did miss some spots that could have helped him out. I'm trying to remember back to it, but he played for like super tempo early on in the game instead of trying to go for like the big power turns. The deck does only run 1 sap, so with like High Abyss Allura, you can kind of try and go for high rolls, even though it's not the highest win rate chance. He could have like held on to first day of school to try and go for that, but didn't. So trying to play for tempo. It's hard to try and play for tempo in this particular matchup because you're going to get out tempoed very easily.
I will fight with honor.
But we'll see.
Right. We shall see. Here we go. Game number 4. Rogue has the Greatheart Sage to start things off in the Cult Neophyte. It's interesting because I feel like Cult Neophyte is actually pretty powerful against Paladin because you stop their ability to play really important buff cards.
Yeah.
And that's like really big. If Paladin misses a turn, they're often missing by a pretty big margin. right? Like if they can't play a card, sometimes they're not playing anything.
Yeah.
So I like holding on to one of them. Holds on to the Great Heart Sage with no guarantee of a stealth minion. Meanwhile, in Firebat, his camp, it looks like a full mulligan to me. He needs to find an early drop.
Nope. His face. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Ooh. From Bloodyface's perspective, I do like the keep of Greyheart Sage just because he has so many stealth minions. It's, you know, he plays like the full suite of stealth minions for the rogue deck. Spy Mistress, Worgen Infiltrator, Sneaky Delinquent. Very likely he picks it up and does get Worgen Infiltrator, so good start right off the bat. And not so much the case for good old Firebat here.
Yeah, this is awful start for Firebat. I don't know why, but it seems like when he draws Lady Liadrin in his opening hand, he tends to get Libram of Hope. So if I'm Bloodyface, the question is whether or not you want to actually kill this 1/1 or you want to coin out a 3-drop. And coining out Miscreant is usually good, but he has backstab. He also can go for the Greatheart Sage next turn as well, so...
Yeah.
Just keep removing anything that Paladin can buff.
Yeah. It's hard to call games over this early on, but... Yeah, and this one seems pretty over.
You know... Let's be very fair here and just say he got a free win the previous game. So,
yeah,
it's kind of fitting that even if, you know, on paper he's favored against Rogue, like, that he kind of gets a really bad hand. It balances it out. It doesn't make it feel any better. I sympathize with Firebat. This is one of the worst hands you could possibly draw, if not the worst hand.
Yeah.
But... he just kind of blew Bloodyface out, so it looks like we're going to go to Game 5, likely.
I don't even want to laugh, but I can't hold it in. That's a hero power pass. Holy moly. I mean, Bloodyface is like running out of hand space. He's got so much to dump, but... Oh, man.
You could play a Mountain Giant if it was still legal in Standard.
Well, Bloodyface could go in here with a giant Edwin Van Cleave. Funnily enough, that activates the Argent Braggart.
A cruel fate awaits you in the ashes.
The Brotherhood shall prevail.
This is a 12-12. I mean, he can push, right? I don't think the stealth really matters too much here. He does get the synergy with the Greatheart Sage again, though.
100 or so.
There you go, one better.
Boom.
Lucky number 13.
You really got him good here.
Muzzle their magic.
Wand Thief. Can probably use it just to get Ray of Frost and just win from here.
Polymorph, little...
Yeah, Polymorph is huge. And just start the race, right? Like, your opponent can't handle... the hand's just too expensive.
Yep.
Just push the damage. Quite a ridiculous game if you just kind of think about it from a perspective that Firebat got to play 2 cards this game.
Deal with
Yep.
him.
Got to play his Libram of Wisdom, and he got to play his Braggart.
Choose soon.
Those aren't even the fun ones.
The Braggart's pretty fun.
Braggarts can be pretty fun. It can also be pretty miserable.
Okay. Actually,
right.
Consecration here does a lot.
Yeah. It takes a ton of power off board. You can leave just the 3 power. And then... like maybe Devout Pupil buy some time in Amber Watcher?
Yeah. Wow.
But
I mean, he
sap
also might
in the
have
hand
lethal.
now. Yeah.
A cruel fate awaits you in the ashes.
Well, he's only has 6 mana, so
Right. Maybe I'm overestimating how much damage you can generate there. I'm definitely overestimating it. Ray of Frost. Brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
yeah, that's a rough one.
He's got a Blessing of Kings and a Devout People play.
Yep. Fortunately, he knows that the second half of Ray of Frost is there.
It's either that or Amber Watcher. It's definitely not Lady Liadra.
Yeah, Amber Watcher might be better because then the next turn you could go Devout Pupil and Blessing of Kings on that, and then hope that that buys you enough time to play Libram of Hope.
That's fair. Or you could double Devout Pupil.
Yeah, double Devout Pupil I think would be better because it plays against Sap.
8, 9, 10, 14 from this Eviscerate. 15th point of damage can just come from the Evil Miscreant.
Yep.
I don't think he has enough mana, actually. Now he can't dagger, so
Yeah.
this has to be damage lackeys. It is not.
Still Polymorph and Sap in hand though, so Bloodyface is still feeling pretty good about
Right.
the happenings at the moment.
Yeah, I can totally just trade. Push the damage. I think I'm going to develop another stealth minion here, actually.
Yeah, maybe the sneaky delinquent.
Or actually dagger, because then the dagger actually gets you the difference.
Oh yeah, and he
For
could
next
clear off the
turn.
1/1 without trading into it, which means that
Yeah.
he doesn't have to worry about buff effects on that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
First day of school. Cool. Voidwalker.
Yeah, Voidwalker not really doing much here. But he's just going to double Devout Pupil. And I think that does it. Polymorph and Sap. Going to game 5. One last time, CJ.
One last time. Libram Paladin for all the marbles.
Against Druid.
Against Druid.
And Firebat got, like, the worst pan out possible for his draw. And variance is on his side, okay? Like, if he has an average draw, he should be good. As long as Playface doesn't nut draw him, but we'll see. Some wild swings so far today. And Grandmasters. You really don't know what's going to happen this last game.
No. Like that mage game, I still think that Firebat got robbed. But, you know, that's what the mage deck can do. And, again, the Malagos Druid, is that a little bit better against Paladin because you can remove some of the earlier things? Because you have swipes and moonfires? I mean, it's possible, but you also have, like, more just draws that are completely dead. But, I mean, regardless of which way you slice it, both Survival Druid and Malagos Druid are weak to this Paladin. Just looking for something average. First day of school, that's a good start.
Yes, that's a very good start, honestly, because it lets you get your board presence early. And I think I would keep Goody Two Shields. That's a card that's very difficult for Drew to deal with. Then for Bloodyface, Overgrowth and Guardian Animals has to be the keep. I think you throw away the Teacher's Pet and the other Guardian Animals. I guess the debate would be whether or not Bloodyface... Oh, Oh, wow. Keeping the second guardian animals.
Ooh. Well,
I mean, it's
that's
the
a
best card in the
hand to be able
deck.
to. Yeah. He's got the 3 best cards in the deck: the Overgrowth and the Guardian Animals.
Right. Firebat has one of Libra Paladin's best cards. First day of school. Oh, he's got the jar dealer. You want a jar, TJ?
Yeah. So
I mean,
1-drops fit in the jar.
Yeah. It is Libra
He's killing
Paladin's
it.
best card alongside Aldor Attendant.
Look at that sick Moonfire play.
Wow.
Playing around the hand of a doll. Nice.
Yeah, I like it. Stop the
Yeah,
aggression.
Yeah, now he still doesn't have a hand of a doll target.
It's okay, he's got goody 2 shields. Which was probably what he's going to be aiming for anyways.
The best defense is a great defense.
Oh wow, this is starting to get kind of dicey, but the overgrowth is huge.
Yep. But its next turn is just slightly awkward because he's just going to be playing like a Twilight Runner. But he need to get the ramp out of the way now, so we had some options moving forward.
Right. The Allura is actually really important too. Positioned it very nicely to avoid any kind of Innervate Guardian animals. Innervate!
Oh!
But Allura's gonna live. Positioning matters here a ton. Bloodyface, by the way, drew 2 of his 5-cost beasts.
Still has a good couple left, although both Guardian Animals may not be great. Finds Twilight Runner, Lake Thrusher.
That's it. He's out. 5 drops.
Yep. Is he only runs the 1 Teacher's Pet?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's playing the Malagos variation, so you got to make some cuts somewhere to make room for all those additional burn spells.
Firebat, if he gets Libram of Hope onto the Allura, this game might be over.
Yeah. It's just, what does he want to use to activate it? Probably Consecration, because then he can just make the trade over with the Goody 2 shields. Also, you can kind of see what comes out. Let's see. Could be big.
Brightness gold.
Oh! Libram Paladin is the nuts.
I never doubt it for a second.
Me neither.
That is brutal. I don't know how Drew wins from here. It was already dicey. And now it just feels out of reach. I think if it was
What to do?
The Blessing of Kings, it was manageable. I think if Bloodyface didn't have both of his 5-drops in his hand that he needed with the second Guardian animals, that also would have been okay. But the combination of the 2, which is the best possible card for Firebat to get, and Bloodyface having a very awkward hand where one of his cards was completely dead, is just too hard. It feels too hard to come back from. We'll see. He does have Kale Thoss in hand. Maybe he's able to draw some cheap cards and make some magic happen. Now more than ever, it's important to stay focused.
Firebat's not
like
adding too much power this turn. That's the one thing. But regardless of how much power he would add, he almost always sets up for a 2-turn lethal. And I don't even know what Bloodyface needs right now.
He needs Kale Thoss, This needs to pick up a card draw. He has no card draw effects right now with this.
Claw's
Oh wow,
armor gain.
that's pretty awful. Oh geez, I think that might be it. These were completely useless spells.
Everbloom.
Yeah, unless I'm
Silverback
missing
Patriarch.
something here. River Crocolisk.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, the guardian animals right now, completely dead. If he could get that with Kael'thas, maybe he could have something going for him. But he's got nothing.
Wow.
I mean, he doesn't even run an Ironbark in the deck to maybe try and like get out this Ysera Unleashed and taunt it up. You could put a teacher's pet in the way.
I think that's it.
But
Concede the comeback. Firebat
There it
from the
is.
lower bracket finds a way to jam that paladin through, targeting the druid and book a top 4 for Championship Sunday. And the Cinderella story continues. Again, for reference, his paladin was doing so poorly. It was 5-13 going in today, and it looked like it was going to rack up even more losses. But hey, Paladin finally got over the hump, and his stellar win rate with all the other classes has led Firebat to another top 4, which will be joining Muzzy, Eddie, and Language Hacker. And you know what? It feels extra good to stop Bloodyface right there, because if Bloodyface wins, back-to-back seasons and then comes back in week 1, it immediately top 4s. That's just, complete and utter dominance. It's not even close anymore. You want people to challenge him for the throne. And I feel like this will be some good fuel for Bloodyface to come back in week 2 even stronger. But, what a great conclusion. Although I wish it was a little bit closer. It just felt like it was both players exchanging crazy outcomes back and forth, right? With the mage game for Bloodyface, then the wild druid game for Firebat, and the rogue game for Bloodyface, and now the paladin. There's just so much back and forth tug of war, but at the end of the day, TJ, we're done. Firebat takes the win with his paladin.
Yeah. Across the regions, 2 Libram Paladins in top 4s in singles. Not something that we expected, especially given it individually as a deck, just its abysmal performance across the Swiss, and even in the top 8, it still has a negative win rate by a lot. But Firebat does it, and I don't think he expected it, given what he's been saying on social media and just the comments about it. But his other decks are just performing so well; it's making up for the some of the weaknesses that Libram Paladin has. And if he can corner the Druid at any point, he's good, and that's exactly what happened in both of his series wins. So props to him, and you could see very happy to be able to make it to the top 4 with kind of a sigh of relief at the end of it all. All those terrible, terrible Libram Paladin games and hands weren't for nothing. So congrats, Firebat.
Yep, it's going to be great. So tomorrow's top 4 will be Muzzy, who is going to be the first seed going up against Firebat, and then Language Hacker versus Eddie. We heard a little bit of a preview on social media. Eddie's like, okay, gosh, I don't think I can beat Language Hacker's lineup at all. And so it'll be fun to see what ends up transpiring. And that leads us to the end of this broadcast. It's been another long day, quite the marathon back-to-back days. But if you miss any part of this broadcast, you can always check us out, youtube.com/Hearthstone Esports, or you can go to playhearthstone.com/esports for all information, standings, deck lists, and information about the program that is Master Tour and Grandmasters. That's it from us, from Frodan and TJ and everyone else part of the HSGM. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.